Hey, my friends, Leo Babauta from Zen Habits here. I'm really glad to be here with you. Today, we're going to talk about something that I've been exploring myself as a mindfulness practice, which is how we are judgmental. And so, we're going to look at how to be less judgmental. Now, you might think I'm not judgmental, and if that is true, I really encourage you to actually take on a practice of inquiry, which is to look at, where am I judgmental? Because I can guarantee you there is not a person listening to this, watching this video, who is not judgmental. We are human beings. We have these automatic habits. And, I've never met someone who didn't have it in them. They just maybe didn't have the awareness. Maybe it wasn't something that showed up very often. But I believe we are pretty much all judgmental. And so it isn't necessarily that that it's a problem that we're judgmental. This is not about judging ourselves for being judgmental. That's just more of the same. But really, how do we start to shift that when we notice it? How can we become less judgmental? It's not that we'll never have judgment, but how do we become less judgmental or less attached to the judgmentalism that we have? So let's take a look at this because I think it's a fascinating topic, especially as I've been examining it in my own life. So I started studying the Zen precepts, which are these ethical guidelines for how to live according to Zen and Buddhism. I started studying these years ago, more than 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And as I did, I would take one precept at a time and really look at them. Well, I've been continuing doing this lately with a friend who's also a Zen student, and the one we're looking at right now is how we elevate ourselves above others by criticizing, blaming, and judging. And so when I first was reading the chapter on this, I was like, I don't really think I do this a lot. I don't really talk bad about other people. You don't hear me saying judgmental things a lot, which is not 100% true, by the way. I do it sometimes. But what I do more often is I judge them or complain about them or blame them inside, in my head, and I just kind of stew about it or just hold myself above them in some way. So I'm going to give you some examples in my life without naming any names, identifying anybody, but just looking at like my own judgments and how I started to notice them. So I started reflecting on this every day, and then I would share something with my friend when I had something to notice or that I noticed. And what I was noticing was once in a while I would talk bad about people. So first of all, that's true. I feel more free doing that when it's about a certain politician, or celebrities who are acting really badly in public, right? Like people are just being complete D-bags, right? If I see that, then I judge them and I can talk about them to others. They're not around, they don't know, like it doesn't hurt them. And so I feel like I could talk about them. So it is not true that I don't do it. It's just that there are certain categories of people for whom like I think it's okay. Now, that said, I still do it with people in my life. And once in a while, I will say something about it, but I'll do it like in a jokey, kind of poking fun at them kind of way, even when they're not around. And I didn't realize I was doing this until I started looking at this. So that's another place you might look is like, where do you talk about people when they're not around? Even if you're just if you're just joking about it, totally fine. Just notice that, right? Maybe it's gossip. Oh, so and so got pregnant, or so and so did this, so and so, is dating an older man, or whatever it is that we might do to judge other people. Those are just some random examples, but it could be other things like, oh my God, look how they're living their life, or oh my God, I can't believe they did this, right? And so and so is having an affair, right? All of these things. And so we're talking about them behind their back as opposed to actually talking to them about it. If we really thought this was something that they needed to shift, wouldn't we want to address it with them? like be really honest and be like, hey, I think you might be making a mistake here with this having an affair. Like, I just wanted to talk to you about it. We don't do that because it's scary. It's hard. They might not change and we're going to be really frustrated. They might have a reaction of upsetness. And so we don't do that. So we keep ourselves safe by talking about it when they're not around. So that's like a way to keep ourselves safe. Another thing that I notice that I do is I'll do it in my own head. And this one happens more than any of the other stuff that I've mentioned. And so what I do is I'll say like, this person is doing this again, right? And so I'll be like complaining about them. And that complaint is a judgment. So I'm like, yuck. And it could be, one of my kids, adult kids, one of my, I was going to say one of my wives. I only have one wife. So it could be my wife. It could be my, you know, my sister. It could be my, a friend. I'm like complaining about them. Why do they always do this? So it's complaining, it's blaming, and it's judging. And so here's another example. I had a relative come visit and they had like all these suitcases. And I'm like, oh, I would never have all those suitcases. I only carry one bag. And so you could see in that, even though I didn't say it to them, I'm just kind of like a little judgerson over here, right? And I'm just noticing how I'm like, oh, like the way they live their life, or someone who just spends like a ton of money on, let's say, junk food. I'm like, oh, I would never do that. Not true. I've done it before. In fact, I've done everything that I judge other people about. I've done it. But there's a part of me that's like, I've risen above it. I've put in the work and they should do that too, right? As if I know the right path for them, as if I know how other people should live their lives, and as if my way is the best way. When I really look at that, when I really examine it honestly, I don't even know how I should be living, let alone telling other people they should live their lives the way that I'm doing it. I definitely don't know the way that anybody else should live their life. And so when I realize that, I can start to soften a little bit in the judgment that I have. Who knows, maybe this person should bring more than one suitcase. Maybe that's the way that they want to, fill those suitcases up with gifts and bring it back to their family. And that's the way they express their love. And maybe that's the way they take care of their family. Who am I to say? Or maybe eventually they'll stop doing that and they'll discover a different way. Maybe that's not my way, but that they're on their own journey at their own pace. And it isn't for me to control that. In fact, why do I think I should control everybody else's journey, right? So what if people are on their own journey of discovery, of learning, of living their lives the way they want to, of expressing who they are, and I just, somehow think that I know better. So when I start to examine that, I think it's really interesting, and I can start to reflect and be really honest about how I think I'm above them, or I think my life is better, or I think I know what they should be doing. And when I realize that that's not the case, I can start to loosen up a little bit about what I think they should do or how they should live their lives. I can also start to see how I'm the same as them. Where have I brought too many suitcases or spent too much on, luxury goods or shopping or, junk food? Or where have I, eaten things that aren't the best for me? Or where have I done whatever it is that they're doing? Am I so much better or am I the same in some ways at least? And when I do that, I can feel more connected to them, more compassionate, and start to see actually I have a part of me that's like that as well. Or at least I have had that in the past. Maybe it's not showing up so much right now, but I can understand what that's like. And so this is about shifting from I'm above them or I'm better than them or I know better than them to a stance of actually we're very much alike and I don't know. I don't know. And just letting myself stay in that place of I can't control others. I don't know what's best for them. I don't even most of the time know what's best for myself. Still learning that. And we're all learning here. We're all on our own journey and we all have to go at our own pace and be in our own process. When I hold it that way, my judgment softens. I let it go to some extent at least, and I'm a little bit less judgmental. So that's what I would recommend for you if you want to try it, is just look at, where am I being judgmental? Where am I blaming? Where am I criticizing? Where am I thinking that I'm somehow better or that I know how other people should live their lives? And when you do, stop and really reflect on that. Do I know better than them? Should I try and control others or decide how they should live their lives? Do I have something like that in me? And start to soften, feel more compassion, feel more connectedness, more love, and less judgmental. Okay, that's what I'd like to share with you. I hope this was helpful. I'm not telling you should do this, but maybe just if you're interested in learning this with me, feel free to join me. Give this a thumbs up, help others to find this. Subscribe if you'd like more of this in the future. Share it with others. I would really, really appreciate that. It really helps me out. And thank you for watching.